After 8 years of being excluded, I bought a beachfront resort, then booked it full, told my mom, just like your house, mine's out of room. My name is Amelia, and I'm a freelance graphic designer. Olivia, my sister, is 35 and married to Mike. They have 4 children, Jack, 12, Ava, 10, James, 8, and Aria, 6. Evelyn, our 62-year-old mother, has always played favorites. Guess who was not a favorite? For the past 8 years, our family has had the custom of spending 2 weeks each summer at Mom's beach cottage in North Carolina. It's a nice-sized home with 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a lovely view of the beach. There's plenty of space for a typical family gathering, right? Wrong. Every year, without fail, Mom would call me in March with the following speech. Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but there's just not enough room at the beach house this year. Olivia's family is so big now, and you know how the kids need their space. Maybe next year we can work something out. Meanwhile, Olivia would receive royal treatment. Mom would spend weeks preparing for their arrival, equipping the house with all of their favorite delicacies, purchasing new beach toys for the kids, and essentially spreading out the red carpet. Olivia's family would pack into that house like they owned it, scattering their belongings over and acting as if they were the only ones who mattered. What is the worst part? Every summer, my 2 children, Alex, 9, and Mia, 7, would ask me why they couldn't go to Grandma's beach cottage like their cousins. What was I supposed to tell them? That Grandma didn't consider us important enough? It wasn't just about vacation space. This was about 8 years of witnessing Mom go above and beyond for Olivia while treating me as an afterthought. Olivia married her college lover, Mike, shortly after graduation, gave birth to 4 children in 6 years, and somehow became Mom's golden child. Mike worked in sales and earned a good living, but nothing exceptional. Nonetheless, they were consistently portrayed as the successful ones. Me? I started my graphic design firm from scratch 4 years ago, following my divorce. I worked my buttocks off, often working 12-hour days to increase my customer base and keep food on the table for my children. But because I work from home and don't have a regular 9-to-5 job, Mom always assumed I was unemployed. Amelia is still figuring things out, she'd tell relatives during family gatherings. Olivia enjoyed her stable life with Mike and the children. She would make tiny remarks anytime we were together. Must be nice to have such a flexible schedule, she'd say, flashing a phony, charming smile. I couldn't handle not knowing where my next paycheck was coming from. The beach house incident was just the most evident evidence of partiality. Every year, I'd see Olivia post dozens of Instagram photographs from their fantastic family vacation at my mother's beach house. The kids making sandcastles, Mike grilling on the deck, Olivia relaxing in the hammock with a drink. Meanwhile, my children and I would spend the 2 weeks at home, sometimes going to the neighborhood pool or watching movies. Last summer was the breaking point. I had just secured my largest client yet, a software business that asked me to overhaul their whole brand identity. It was a 6-figure contract that would set us up well for the year. I was eager to announce the news during Mom's birthday party in June. "That's wonderful, dear," Mom exclaimed when I told her about the deal. "Maybe now you can think about getting a more stable job." Olivia laughed. "Come on, Mom. Amelia likes playing around on her computer. It's not like she's ready for a real career." I kept my mouth shut, like I always do. However, later that evening, while Mom was giving her yearly, sorry, not enough room speech about the beach house, Olivia decided to twist the knife. "You know, Amelia," she remarked in a voice that everyone heard, "maybe if you had a real job, you could afford your own vacation. The rest of us shouldn't have to sacrifice our family time because you can't get your life together." Mom gave a nod. "Olivia has a point. Honey, Mike works so hard and those kids deserve their vacation. Maybe when you're more established." I smiled and nodded, like I did for the previous 7 years. "Of course, I understand. I hope you all have a good time." But within, I was done. Absolutely finished. That tech startup deal was only the beginning. Word spread about my work, and I soon had more clients than I could handle. I boosted my fees, became more choosy about clients, and began to establish something larger than a freelance firm. By October, I had a stable enough income to recruit 2 people. By December, I'd secured 3 additional significant corporate clients. By February, I was looking for office space and thinking about expanding into digital marketing services. The money was coming in, but I hadn't told anyone in my family. I continued to drive my old Honda, live in the same modest house, and dress the same way I always did. As far as they knew, I was still fooling around with my computer. In March, right around the time Mom would call with her "not enough room" lecture, I made an offer on a tiny resort property approximately 2 hours from the beach house. It wasn't huge, only 12 rooms, a restaurant, and a magnificent stretch of private beach. But it was ideal for my needs. The previous owners had driven it to the ground and were desperate to sell. I purchased it for a fraction of its value and immediately engaged a management business to handle day-to-day operations while I worked on renovations. By May, the resort had been transformed. I had spent about $200,000 on enhancements, including new furnishings, entirely refurbished rooms, a stunning infinity pool overlooking the beach, and a children's play area that would make Disney jealous. The restaurant served 5-star cuisine, and the entire setting looked like something out of a luxury travel magazine. I named it Seaside Haven Resort, and it was simply stunning. Most importantly, it was mine. All mine. It soft opened in June with a few paying customers to iron out any issues. Everything went smoothly. The reviews were fantastic, and bookings for the summer were already coming in fast. Meanwhile, Olivia was sharing her typical pre-vacation stuff on social media. Photographs of the kids shopping for beach attire, Mike loading the car, and eager notes about their annual family tradition at Grandma's place. Mom called me in late June, delivering her anticipated spiel. "Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but I know, Mom, not enough room. No worries at all. Alex and Mia and I have other plans this year anyway." "Oh, that's wonderful, dear. Where are you going?" "Just a little place I found. Nothing fancy." In the first week of July, I drove to Seaside Haven with my children. I had reserved us the greatest suite in the hotel, a 2-bedroom beachfront room with a private balcony and direct beach access. Alex and Mia could not believe it. "Mom, this place is incredible," Mia exclaimed as she ran around the suite. "Are we really staying here for 2 whole weeks?" "We sure are, baby girl." We spent our days on the private beach, eating delicious food at the restaurant, swimming in the infinity pool, and participating in all of the activities I had planned, including horseback riding, deep sea fishing, and kayaking. We'd never been able to afford this vacation before, and having my children enjoy it was well worth the money I invested. But the best was yet to come. In August, I began making telephone calls. First, I contacted my Uncle Benjamin and Aunt Carol, Mom's brother and sister-in-law. They'd always been kind to me and my kids, and they had 3 children about Alex and Mia's age. "Hey, Uncle Benjamin, I wanted to invite you guys to spend Labor Day weekend at this resort. I know. All expenses paid, food, activities, everything. I just want to treat the family to something special." "Amelia, that's incredibly generous, but we couldn't possibly." "I insist. I've had a really good year business-wise, and I want to share it with the people who matter to me." I then contacted my cousin David, Mom's nephew, and his wife Jennifer. They had 2 teenagers who never got to have fun since money was tight. "Dave, how would you guys like to spend a long weekend at a 5-star resort?" "My treat. I know money's been tight since Jennifer got laid off, and I thought the family could use a break." I contacted my father's sister, Aunt Nancy, and her husband. I contacted my second cousins, the Martinez family, who had always struggled but were the nicest people you'd ever meet. I contacted everyone who had ever been good to me and my children, who had made us feel included and appreciated. By the time I was done, I had invited 22 members of our extended family to spend Labor Day weekend at Seaside Haven. I booked the entire resort, hired a private chef to prepare all of the meals, and scheduled activities for people of all ages. I did not invite Mom or Olivia. Labor Day weekend was fantastic. All of my relatives were astounded by the resort, often wondering how I could afford such a magnificent setting. I simply smiled and said I had a good year. On Saturday evening, Uncle Benjamin called me aside. "Amelia, this is unbelievable. You've really done something special here. Your mom must be so proud." "Mom doesn't know about it," I stated casually. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I didn't invite her. Or Olivia." Uncle Benjamin appeared confused. "But why? This is a family gathering." "Benjamin, for 8 years, Mom has told me there's not enough room at her beach house for me and my kids. Every single summer we've been excluded from the family vacation because Olivia's family takes up too much space. So this year, I decided to host my own family gathering, and unfortunately, there's just not enough room for everyone." The truth quickly spread throughout the group. Everyone was aware of the beach house predicament. They had heard Mom's justifications and Olivia's remarks over the years. Some of them had even quietly questioned Mom why I wasn't included in the summer vacation. Monday morning, while everyone was checking out and heading home, my phone began to ring. It was Mom. "Amelia, where are you?" Benjamin just called me with some ridiculous story about you owning a resort. That can't be true. It's true, Mom. What? How is that possible? You don't have that kind of money. Apparently I do. There was a prolonged pause. Amelia, I'm confused. If you could afford something like this, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you invite us? You told me there wasn't enough room at your beach house. I'm telling you there's not enough room at my resort. That's completely different. The beach house is what, Mom? Not big enough for everyone? Well, guess what? Neither is my resort. But Amelia, we're family. Funny how you remember that now. I hung up. 20 minutes later, Olivia called. What the hell is wrong with you? She exclaimed into the phone. Mom is crying her eyes out. How could you do this to us? Do what, Olivia? Have a family gathering? I thought you'd be happy. You always said I should be more successful. You know what I mean. You deliberately excluded us. The way you excluded me and my kids for 8 years. That was different. The beach house really isn't big enough for everyone. And my resort really isn't big enough for everyone either. Funny how that works. This is petty and vindictive. Amelia, you're better than this. No, Olivia, I'm exactly this. I'm tired of being treated like the family failure when I work twice as hard as anyone else. I'm tired of watching my kids get left out because you decided your family matters more than mine. The weeks that followed were really intense. Mom contacted me every day, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, and she always demanded to know why I was punishing them. I raised you better than this, Amelia. This isn't how family treats each other. You're right, Mom. Family doesn't treat each other the way you've treated me for the past 8 years. I never excluded you. There genuinely wasn't enough room. There was room, Mom. You just chose to give it all to Olivia. Every year you chose her family over mine. Every year you made my kids feel like they didn't matter. Did you think I wouldn't notice? Did you think they wouldn't notice? Olivia took a different strategy. She began telling other family members that I was harsh and nasty, hurting innocent children because of a perceived insult. But the family members who had attended the resort weekend knew the truth. They had heard Mom's excuses and Olivia's criticisms for years. They had seen me grin and nod despite being constantly excluded from family gatherings. Uncle Benjamin really called Mom and informed her that she owed me an apology. Evelyn, that girl has been nothing but gracious for years while you've treated her like a second-class family member. Now she's more successful than any of us, and she's sharing that success with people who actually appreciate her. Aunt Carol backed him up. The way Olivia talks to Amelia is appalling. Evelyn, I've heard her make those comments about Amelia's job, and it's mean-spirited. Amelia has every right to celebrate her success with people who support her. The resort was thriving. The Labor Day weekend had produced fantastic word of mouth, and I was scheduled solid throughout the fall. I hired more employees, extended the restaurant's hours, and began planning winter improvements to include a spa. My graphic design firm was also prospering. The success of the resort had given me more confidence in other aspects of my life. I was charging higher rates, taking on larger projects, and my reputation in the sector was gradually improving. Alex and Mia were also flourishing. They were happy of what I had accomplished, glad that we could now afford the wonderful things their cousins took for granted. More significantly, they were learning that hard effort pays off and that you don't have to put up with horrible treatment simply because someone is family. Thanksgiving was approaching, and it was traditionally celebrated at Mom's house. She called me in early November. Amelia, I hope you'll come to Thanksgiving dinner. I know we've had our differences, but it's important for the family to be together. Will there be enough room for everyone, Mom? Of course there will, don't be ridiculous. Interesting, your dining room table seats 8. Olivia's family is 6 people. You and Dad make 8. Where exactly are Alex, Mia, and I supposed to sit? We'll figure something out. We always do, right? Olivia's family gets the main table, and my kids and I get folding chairs in the kitchen. Thanks, but we'll pass. Amelia, you're being unreasonable. I'm being realistic. For the first time in my life, I'm being realistic about how this family works. Instead, I invited Uncle Benjamin and Aunt Nancy's families, as well as the Martinez family, to Thanksgiving dinner at the resort. We enjoyed a wonderful supper cooked by the chef. There was plenty of room for everyone, and the kids had fun on the beach after dinner. In December, Mom made another round of calls. Amelia, I've been thinking, maybe we should have Christmas at your resort this year. It would be nice for everyone to see what you've built. That's a generous offer, Mom, but the resort is booked solid through New Year's. I don't have any availability. But surely you could make an exception for family. I could make an exception for family that treats me like family. What do you want from me, Amelia? Do you want me to apologize? Fine, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you felt excluded from the beach house. I was just trying to accommodate everyone. No, Mom. You were accommodating Olivia. There's a difference. Olivia has 4 children, and I have 2. Apparently your math says 4 is more important than 2. Mom finished our chat by hanging up on me. I spent Christmas morning with Alex and Mia at home before driving to the resort for Christmas dinner with the family members who had become my true support system. We had 25 people there, with the exception of Mom, Dad, Olivia, and her family. It was the finest Christmas I had in years. There have been no passive-aggressive comments concerning my career. No more witnessing my children receive lesser, cheaper gifts than their cousins. I didn't feel like I needed to be grateful for scraps of attention. Simply delicious food, genuine laughter, and people who valued what I had worked so hard to create. I made a resolution while standing on the resort's deck on New Year's Eve, watching fireworks over the water with my children by my side. I was finished apologizing for my accomplishment. I'd had enough of shrinking myself to make others feel comfortable. I had had enough of receiving crumbs from those who should have been celebrating my accomplishments. The resort demonstrated that I was not the family failure that they had made me feel for so many years. I was a successful businesswoman who created something beautiful out of nothing. My children were proud of me. My true friends backed me. And my family members who mattered had seen what I was capable of. Mother called me on New Year's Day. Amelia, I want to make things right between us. What will it take? It would take you acknowledging that you treated me unfairly for years. It would take you admitting that there was always room at the beach house, but you chose to give it all to Olivia. It would take you apologizing to my children for making them feel unwanted at family gatherings. I can't apologize for decisions I made in the best interest of the family. Then we don't have anything else to talk about. You're really going to throw away our relationship over a vacation house? Mom, I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just done pretending that. Being related to someone means you have to let them treat you poorly. I'm done teaching my children that family means accepting less than you deserve. It has been 6 months since I purchased the resort. Business is fantastic. I'm expanding into a second property, and my graphic design firm has grown into a full-service digital agency with 8 workers. Alex and Mia are prospering. They're confident, joyful youngsters who understand their worth and refuse to be treated as inferior by anyone. Some family members have attempted to arbitrate between Mom and me, but I am not interested. I've spent far too many years as the family's peacekeeper, covering up other people's bad behavior and making excuses for being mistreated. Olivia sent me a friend request on Facebook last month. I declined it. Mom sends me stories about how families heal from conflict and the value of forgiveness. I delete them without having read them. By June, the resort was fully booked until September. I had waiting lists for every weekend, and corporate groups booked us for retreats months in advance. The success was overwhelmingly positive. Alex finished 4th grade with all A's, while Mia excelled in 2nd grade. They both joined the local swim team and made friends quickly. For the first time in years, they weren't wondering why they couldn't attend family reunions, or why Grandma didn't seem to like them as much as their cousins. Mom, Alex said one evening as we ate supper on the resort's veranda, Jack asked me at school why we don't come to the beach house anymore. Jack was Olivia's oldest kid, and he went to the same school as Alex. I was wondering when this conversation would come up. What did you tell him? I told him we have our own place now. He said it looked way cooler than Grandma's house when he saw the pictures on Instagram. I smiled. The resort had a great social media presence, and I posted frequently about activities, stunning sunset photos, and happy families enjoying their visits. It wasn't meant to be petty, but I'll be honest. It felt wonderful knowing Olivia undoubtedly saw every message. He asked if he could come visit sometime, Alex said. I told him I didn't know if his mom would let him. It stung a little. The kids were innocent in all of this, and Jack had always been nice to Alex and Mia, but I wasn't about to open that door. Rachel, the daughter of my cousin David, announced her engagement in July. The wedding was scheduled for October, and it would be the first major family gathering since everything had exploded. David called to personally invite me. Amelia, I know things are complicated with your mom and Olivia right now, but Rachel really wants you there. You've been so generous to our family, and she considers you one of her favorite aunts. Will Mom and Olivia be there? Of course. It's a family wedding, But Rachel specifically asked me to make sure you knew how much she wants you to come. She said, if anyone deserves to celebrate with a family, it's you. I thought about it for a week. Rachel was a beautiful girl who had always been kind to me and my children. She did not deserve to have her wedding day ruined by family strife. I'll be there, I assured David. But I'm bringing security. Security? Just one guy. Someone to make sure things don't get out of hand if Olivia decides to make a scene. The wedding was gorgeous. Rachel looked stunning, and the wedding was held in a beautiful vineyard approximately 1 hour from the city. I arrived with Alex and Mia, dressed to the nines. I purchased Mia a lovely navy blue frock and Alex a crisp little suit. They looked like they belonged at any upscale occasion. Mom noticed us instantly during cocktail hour. She approached with caution, as if she didn't know what to expect. Amelia, you look wonderful. The kids have grown so much. Thank you. How have you been? I heard the resort is doing very well. It is. She waited for me to elaborate, but I did not. After a few awkward seconds, she attempted again. I've been thinking a lot about our conversation at Christmas. Maybe we could talk sometime soon. Maybe. Olivia appeared at Mom's shoulder, appearing as if she'd rather be somewhere else. Hi, Amelia. Olivia. The kids look nice, she observed, staring at Alex and Mia, who were talking with their second cousins near the appetizer table. They do. The talk was painfully unpleasant. Other family members continued approaching our small group, evidently thinking we'd resolve things right there at the wedding. But I was no longer interested in making others feel comfortable at my expense. When dinner was served, I observed something intriguing. The seating arrangement had assigned me and my children at the main family table, directly between Uncle Benjamin's family and Aunt Nancy's family. Mom and Olivia sat at a separate table with Olivia's children and Mike. Rachel had made a decision that wasn't in Mom's favor. During the reception, Rachel approached me during the dancing section of the evening. Auntie, thank you so much for coming. I know things are weird with Grandma Evelyn right now. Your wedding day isn't about family drama, sweetheart. I'm here to celebrate you. I just want you to know that what you did with the resort weekend was amazing. Cousin David's family still talks about it all the time. They said it was the best vacation they'd ever had. I'm glad they enjoyed it. And I want you to know that I see how hard you work and what you've accomplished. Not everyone in the family gives you credit for it, but some of us do. Rachel's words meant more to me than she probably knew. Here was a 24-year-old with more emotional intelligence than persons twice her age. As the evening came to a close, Olivia cornered me near the bar. We need to talk, she continued, plainly drunk. No, we don't. Yes, we do. This has gone on long enough. You're tearing the family apart. I'm not tearing anything apart, Olivia. I'm just not participating in my own mistreatment anymore. Oh, please, mistreatment. You're being dramatic. 8 years, Olivia. 8 years of being told there wasn't room for my kids at family vacations. 8 years of listening to you make comments about my career and my life choices. 8 years of watching my children feel excluded while your kids got treated like royalty. Those weren't personal attacks. I was just being honest about your situation. My situation? You mean the situation where I built a 6-figure business from scratch while raising 2 kids on my own? That situation? Olivia's face turned red. You act like you're so successful now. But where was all this money when we were growing up? Why didn't you have a stable job when your kids were little? Because I was building something better than a stable job. I was building a business. I was investing in my future instead of settling for comfortable mediocrity. Comfortable mediocrity. I have a good marriage and 4 healthy kids. And I'm happy for you, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me like I'm less than you because I chose a different path. Olivia looked around to ensure no one was listening before leaning in. You want to know the truth? Mom was trying to protect you. She knew you couldn't afford to contribute to vacation expenses the way Mike and I could. She was trying to save you the embarrassment. I stared at her for a long time. Olivia, I offered to pay for my share of expenses every single year. Every year I told Mom I could cover food, utilities, whatever she needed. She never once asked me to contribute anything. That's not how I remember it. That's because you were never part of those conversations. You just assumed I was broke because it made you feel better about excluding me. Marcus, a lovely guy who does event security as a side company, appeared at my elbow. I'd asked him to keep an eye on things and intervene if any discussions were too hot. Everything okay here, Miss Amelia? Olivia seemed astonished. You really brought security to a family wedding? I brought insurance against drama. Looks like it was a good investment. I went away before she could reply. My phone began to ring early on Monday morning following the wedding. It was Uncle Benjamin. Amelia, I heard there was some tension at the wedding. Are you okay? I'm fine, Uncle Benjamin. Olivia had a few drinks and decided it was time for a heart-to-heart. David told me you handled yourself well. He also mentioned that you brought security. Just a precaution. I wanted to enjoy Emma's wedding without worrying about anyone making a scene. That's actually pretty smart. I might steal that idea for future family events. Uncle Benjamin's remark made me giggle, but it also got me thinking. Perhaps I wasn't the only one who became tired of walking on eggshells around certain family members. By October, I was actively hunting for a second property. My business partner, Robert Chen, a hotel management specialist who approached me after learning about Seaside Haven's success, had discovered a mountain retreat property in North Carolina that was ideal for development. The Mountain View Lodge was a 20-room hotel featuring a spa, meeting facilities, and breathtaking hiking paths. It was in foreclosure and required extensive renovations, but it had tremendous promise. Amelia, this could be the flagship property for a whole chain, Robert said to me as we toured the grounds. Seaside Haven proves you understand the luxury family market. This place could capture the corporate retreat and spa weekend market. I made an offer that week. While the lawyers finalized the acquisition deal, I concentrated on the holiday season at Seaside Haven. We were booked solid from Thanksgiving to New Year's, and I'd established a waiting list for Christmas 2026. Mom called in early November, as she had the year before. Amelia, I want to try something different this year. What if we had Thanksgiving at Seaside Haven? I could pay for everyone's accommodation, and we could have the whole family together. The resort is fully booked, Mom. But surely you could make some adjustments, cancel a few reservations. I'm not going to disappoint paying customers to accommodate people who spent years making it clear I wasn't a priority. Amelia, I'm trying to make things right. No, you're trying to make things convenient. There's a difference. What do you want from me? I want you to admit that you were wrong. I want you to acknowledge that you played favorites for years and that it hurt me and my children. I want you to apologize for making my kids feel unwanted at family gatherings. I never intended for the kids to feel unwanted. But they did feel unwanted, Mom. Intent doesn't erase impact. There was a prolonged pause. I don't know how to fix this, Amelia. Maybe you can't fix it. Maybe some things are broken beyond repair. I don't accept that. Then you're going to be disappointed. Mountain View Lodge debuted in March with a soft opening for friends and family. I invited the same group that had attended the Labor Day weekend the previous year, as well as a few additional relatives who had been supportive. The property looked lovely following the modifications. We transformed it into a luxury wellness retreat complete with a world-class spa, gourmet restaurant, and a variety of activities such as guided hikes, yoga classes, and wine tastings. Uncle Benjamin and Aunt Carol were among the first attendees. Amelia, this is incredible, Carol exclaimed as we sat in the spa's relaxation area. 2 years ago, you were worried about making ends meet, and now you own 2 resorts. Hard work pays off, I explained plainly. It's more than that. You have vision. You saw opportunities where other people saw problems. That evening, as we gathered for supper at the Mountain View restaurant, Uncle Benjamin stood up to toast. I want to say something about Amelia, he told me. 2 years ago, some people in this family thought she was struggling to find her way. They were wrong. She wasn't struggling. She was building. She was creating something amazing while the rest of us were comfortable with the status quo. He raised his glass. To Amelia, who proves that success isn't about following someone else's path. It's about having the courage to build your own. Everyone raised their glasses, and I felt a warmth that wasn't related to the wine. Olivia called me a week after Mountain View opened. She sounded different, less defensive and more exhausted. Amelia, can we talk? Really talk. Not like at the wedding. What do you want to talk about? I want to apologize. It astonished me. Okay. I've been thinking a lot about what you said at Emma's wedding, about the vacation expenses, and Mom never asking you to contribute. I called Mom to ask her about it, and she admitted that you offered to pay every year. She said she thought it would be easier to just have one family there instead of trying to coordinate with everyone. Easier for who? That's what I asked her, and she couldn't really answer. Olivia was silent for a moment. I also asked her why she always made those comments about your job not being real work. She said she was worried about your financial stability and thought she was encouraging you to find something more secure by insulting what I was building. I know it doesn't make sense, but I think she genuinely thought she was helping. What do you think, Olivia? Another pause. I think I was jealous. Jealous of what? Of your freedom? Of your creativity? Of the fact that you were building something that was entirely yours? Mike and I have a good life, but it's predictable. We do the same things every year, go to the same places, have the same conversations. You are creating something new. So, you decided to tear me down instead of supporting me. I decided to make myself feel better by convincing myself that what you were doing wasn't real success. It was easier than admitting that maybe I was playing it too safe. It was the most candid chat Olivia and I had ever had. I'm sorry, Amelia. I'm sorry for the comments about your job. I'm sorry for supporting Mom's decision to exclude you from vacations. And I'm sorry for making you feel like you weren't successful enough to deserve respect. Thank you for saying that. Is there any chance we could start over? Not go back to how things were, but maybe build something new? I thought about it. Maybe, but it would have to be different. I'm not going back to being the family member who accepts less just to keep the peace. I understand, and I respect what you've built. Both businesses are incredible. Thank you. Would it be okay if I brought the kids to visit Seaside Haven sometime, not as a family obligation, just as customers, paying for a vacation? I'd be happy to have you as guests. But Olivia, things are different now. I'm different now. I know, and maybe that's a good thing. People usually say blood is thicker than water, but I've discovered that's not the whole story. The whole quotation reads, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." The relationships you choose and cultivate are stronger than those you are born into. I choose to create a business, a life, and relationships with people that respect me. I decided to quit accepting less than I deserve simply because someone shares my DNA. Some could accuse me of being petty or vengeful. Perhaps I am. But after 8 years of being told there wasn't enough place for me and my children, I found something wonderful. There is always enough space when you create your own table. The seaside home can accommodate 8 persons comfortably. My 2 resorts accommodate 96 visitors and employ 43 personnel. Olivia was correct about one thing. Having a genuine job allows you to purchase your own vacation. Sometimes the best retaliation is simply living well. And business is quite good. As I write this, it has been 3 years since I purchased Seaside Haven. Mountain View Lodge is fully booked until next summer, and I'm looking into a third property in Colorado. My graphic design firm has 15 staff and clients around the country. Alex is now 11 and aspires to be an entrepreneur like his mother. Mia, 9, has decided she wants to be a chef and work in one of our resort restaurants. They are self-assured, cheerful children who understand their worth and refuse to be second best. Mom and I have talked several times during the last year. She is working to understand why her actions hurt me, and I am working to forgive. It is a slow process, but we are making progress. Olivia and I have discovered a new dynamic. We aren't as tight as we once were, but there is mutual respect now. Her family did visit Seaside Haven last summer, and it was a great experience. There are no comments on my career. There are no passive-aggressive statements regarding money, just 2 families having a holiday together. The family dynamics have transformed irrevocably. I'm no longer the family member who requires charity or sympathy. I am a family member who employs 43 people and gives back to the community through local employment and charitable activities. Most importantly, I'm no longer the family member who settles for less than she deserves just to keep the peace. I created my own peace. And it is beautiful. Sometimes the finest revenge isn't really revenge. Sometimes it is simply refusing to shrink in order to make others comfortable. Sometimes it's creating something so lovely that people can't help but admire what you've produced. And occasionally, when someone tells you there isn't enough room, the best response is to go build your own room. Then make another one. Then construct an empire. When you have the blueprints, there is always enough room.